Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to lesson 3 of Leadership 101. Today, I want to talk to you about taking ownership of your circumstance. Now, I like to go into circumstance and flux, which is basically situations and how we react to them. Circumstances are inevitable. They're basically situations, things that we cannot control. But flux is how we relate to the situation. When it comes to taking ownership, I want to get into why it's important to take ownership of first your emotions. When you can control those things that come out of your mind, out of your hearts, these things you can control. And the immediate thing we can control is how we feel about a situation. A lot of the time when you guys are watching TV, media, you're feeling negative. Okay, and in this state of negativity, you're actually reacting to a situation you have actually no control over. So that's why I want to get into taking ownership, how you're reacting. I want to get deeper into why you're reacting in certain ways, your feelings, your emotions, and how we can control those things. I want to give you some personal examples and stories of situations where I have failed to take ownership. For all you guys that don't know, I'm in the Army National Guard, and I've done many different types of trainings. Quite recently, about 3 years ago, I did a training down in Fort Leonard Wood, or I think I was out in Kansas somewhere. I was out in the middle of nowhere, really. And we were training as usual, but today, this surprising day, I said, look, buddy, could you watch my weapon while I go eat chow? So I gave it to a battle buddy to watch it. I did the normal thing, what anyone else would do. But the problem was I saw this guy in the chow line. So I'm walking to get food, and then I see him in the same line to get food. And I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, didn't I leave him with my weapon? And so I was just laughing about it. You know, I was like, what if he lost my weapon? Because it was me and another guy that left our weapons with him. So guess what? Ends up they're gone. We go back, he lost them, and we're in trouble. However, the first sergeant came up to us and he was like, so whose fault is this? My buddy said, it's his fault. He's the one that left our weapon and didn't watch it. And I said, look, I blamed it on him too. And you know what the first sergeant said? He said, what do? You just throw your battles under the bus like that? What's wrong with you? And then he smoked us. Push-ups left and right. They push up again and again and again and again. The worst thing that could happen. You do not want to get in trouble with the first sergeant. That's the top dog. They call him top for a reason. Because after I got in trouble with him, I also got in trouble with the sergeant over me. And then another one, and it just led to a bad situation. But I knew in this circumstance that I was not taking ownership of my situation. Now, was it my fault? Not actually, but it was my fault for leaving it with somebody who failed to do their part. Really crazy situations. You guys are like, that's not your fault, but we got to take ownership. I had to take ownership of my situation. I learned, don't leave a weapon with just anybody. And if you see something wrong, say something. Don't keep quiet about it. And that's what I learned when I took ownership. But it had to have me take ownership instead of blaming on other people. The second situation I want to talk about is a story of Jocko Willink. He's a Navy SEAL officer, commander. And one day he was out in the jungle doing their training situation. Well, it wasn't training, it was actually live fire. And I don't know if I told you this story before in an earlier lesson, but his comrades were out to go bombard a building, right? So they had their game plan, they had the mission, and they were going out to go ahead and take out those people. So they all went into the building. However, there was another unit that was coming into that building too. So both units were coming into one situation, and there was a friendly fire. That means it was good guys shooting good guys. And that's the worst situation on earth when it comes to the military. Never, ever good situation. They actually put people in prison for those things. So what he had to do was take ownership for the situation. Now, it wasn't his immediate responsibility. He didn't necessarily fail here or fail there. But overall, because he saw himself as the commander, he had to take charge. Now, when he took ownership of that, and he said it was my fault, every single person took ownership of their situation. The guy below him took ownership. He said, no, it was my fault. I woke up at 6 o'clock instead of 5:45. Then the other guy said, no, it was my fault. I forgot to clean the weapons before we went out to do it. Then the other guy said, no, it was my fault. I wasn't listening to so-and-so's order 3 days ago. So everyone began to take ownership. And when you have a community who takes ownership of their situations, good or bad, then you can progress. The hardest thing for us is to take ownership of the things we hate. We love to take ownership of the fact that we're great at singing, or we're great at making movies, or great at producing content. But when it comes to owning up to the bad, we just can't do it because we're really ashamed of it. But I want to tell you guys, this is so important. This is the fact and the basis of your success. When you can own up to the good and the bad. I got to own up to myself daily. Things that I don't like, things that I do like, things where I can see myself improving, I have to own up to it. You know, a long time, I've been shy. You know, I come around people that don't always talk a lot because I like to listen. But sometimes that comes off as shyness. And sometimes I get myself caught up in situations where I know I'm not speaking the way I can, or I know I'm not contributing to the place that I'm in, or I know I'm not giving my value in the way I should. And that's when I have to take ownership. I have to say, look, this is a situation in the area I want to work on. Does it make me uncomfortable? Yes. The other day I was on my phone and I realized that I wasn't getting back to about 3 to 4 people. Messaged me, they called me, and I didn't get back. First person I didn't get back to was my mom. My mom called me a day ago. And I got back to my mom and I said, hey, what's going on? My mom went out of the way for me. She was at an event with the mayor. She came out of the event just to answer my phone call. When my mom called me a day ago, I was right next to the phone but didn't answer it. See, I learned in this situation that sometimes it's for the other person. You never know if somebody's in a bad situation. My mom could have been hurt. My mom could have been in a car accident. And I was too lazy to pick up the phone. You see, these are things that I'm learning, things that I'm growing in, things that I want to be better at. My mom took the time out of her busy schedule to answer my phone call because she didn't know if there could have been an issue, if I could have been in trouble. But she told me, she said, look, Mac, I can't depend on you. If I call you, I'm expecting you to not answer, so I'm not going to call you if I'm in trouble. That got me. I prayed about it. I said, look, God, I need to work on this. God put on my heart that I'm going to work on it. He's going to help me so where I can be a dependable person. So if there's any issues, somebody wants something done, they can call me immediately and they'll know I'll be there for them. That's the person I want to become. But if I want to become that person, I need to own up to the fact that I'm not that person right now. Not an easy thing to do, but it's the only thing we can do when it comes to taking ownership and progressing where we need to be. I can't wait to give you guys a lot more. You're going to get a lot of gems and explosive content in these lessons. I want you to stay tuned, get your headphones on, put the kids away, whatever you got to do to listen, because this lesson is going to be impactful. Alright guys, so the first thing you're going to be able to do when it comes to taking ownership is self-evaluation. Evaluating where you're not taking ownership. Now this is a challenge because a lot of the times this is actually the hardest thing to do. I'm going to tell you right now, the hardest thing for me is to actually confront the things that I don't like, the things that I need to confront. It's a hard thing to do. The things that we don't want to confront are the things that we have to confront. So that means the things that you don't like about yourself, the things that you're struggling in, the fact that you're not a good partner, the fact that you're not good at your relationship, the fact that you're not good in school, the fact that you're not making money, the fact that you're not progressing in the areas and the ways you want to. This is when it comes handy to do a self-evaluation. This is when it's very important to confront those things. The other night I was in deep prayer and I was sitting right in this room in deep prayer just asking God for guidance because I knew where I was is not where I want to be. Okay, now a lot of you guys are watching this, Mac. I think you're pretty successful, man. You got a nice little suit on, you got a nice watch, you're doing this cool stuff. What do you mean it's not where you want to be? Well, I'm going to tell you, I actually am not making the income that I need to make. I'm not on float. I'm not where I should be right now, financially. So in this current situation, I have to confront the fact that I'm not bringing in what I need to. I'm not getting what I'm worthy and deserving of. And I pray to God to help me confront some things. So he's putting on my heart that, look, I got to get real with the fact that I'm not bringing in what I need. And I'm going to have to do something to make those norms. I got to do something to meet that standard. The standard that I need to make, I need to do whatever it's going to take. So I'm writing down different ideas. I'm writing down different things I can do, different things I need to do immediately. Like right after this video, I'm going to go ahead and work on some of those things so I can start a flow, an income flow that can keep me going. You get it? But this was a hard thing to confront A lot of people are telling me, Mac, you need to do this, you need to do that. And I'm just like, okay, I got it. But for me to sit down in that lone time and look deep in my heart and my soul and be like, yeah, this is something I need to work on. This is a problem. That's when real change begins. But you got to take that time to yourself to really confront what's deep within. Hard thing to do. A lot of us just want to go through life just kind of laissez-faire, pushing those things aside. But the hardest thing and the most important thing is to look within. I'm saying it's the hardest thing because it's really not easy. It's really not something that you want to do, but it's something that you have to do in order to progress. For instance, if I was 5 years old and there were some situations that I really hated in my upbringing that really traumatically impacted me, and because of that, I'm ignoring the pain. I'm ignoring the fact that it happened. I'm ignoring the fact that I was abused. I'm ignoring the fact that so-and-so did this to me. I'm going to keep pushing that underneath the bed sheets as long as I breathe. And that means whenever there's a situation that comes up that resembles the pain that I felt when I was 5, that traumatic experience comes right back to my mind as if it never left to begin with. What you're doing by hiding it is literally just that. You're just hiding it. You're moving it to the side, but you're not overcoming it. And what I need to help you guys do is to overcome those situations. I want you to be overcomers, not people that just kind of push things to the side and don't confront them. You know, one of the issues within my family has always been that my mom didn't feel like she was always appreciated to a certain extent. And so it'd be like little personal things in the household, like my mom would want the garage cleaned out. That would say, okay, I'll get it done. My mom would say, please, could you do it again? And it never happened. And, you know, things got in the way, situations. And look, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not in charge. I don't know the situation, but I'm just saying she felt one way, he felt another way. There was a lot of discord in that situation. And so my mom didn't feel like she was being heard. Dad didn't feel like he was being respected. So there's an issue, but it's not being confronted. Because when she speaks, he just pushes it to the side. When he speaks, she just pushes it to the side. So we got these things that we're piling up that are there, but they're becoming bigger. And the small things become bigger, and they lead to bigger situations and bigger problems, and they don't go away until we confront them. So look, my mom says, look, I got to go out of here. I got to do my own thing, blah, blah, blah. So she moves down here to get a job there, doing this and that. Dad doesn't get why that happened, so he's like, okay, I don't know about this. I feel like, you know, you're leaving me, whatever. I'm getting personal. And so this kind of leads to the discord. There's no confrontation here. My family is awesome at not confronting, by the way. I love my family. But one thing I've learned in my family is the nature of not confronting. The nature of, like, if there's an issue, kind of just like pushing it to the side or hiding. One thing I feel like God has given me is the blessed gift to confront and to seek confrontation. When I have conversation with people, I go deep. I go deep quick. I go deeper than most people normally do, and sometimes people are shocked because I'll go straight to the meat, straight to the core. If there's an issue, confront that. If I see a problem with somebody, I confront it. If I see something that you're struggling with, we confront it. Because as long as we hide from it, it'll just build. That's why when I was out with a beautiful girl the other day, we were talking about some of the things that a lot of the time we won't confront. I was open about some of the things where I struggle. She was open about some of the things where she struggles. And what we were able to do was come on a basis where transparency and authenticity is actually complimented, is actually inspired, and actually a good thing. That means we're kind of opening up about the faults. We're opening up about the things that we don't like about ourselves or whatever. Just not saying we're emotional wrecks. Just saying it's easy. It's authenticity. It's what we want to talk about. It builds and it grows. So it gives us the opportunity to see where we can develop, where we can get better. This is why I need you guys to pay attention to this lesson, because we're going to do some deep self-evaluation for this lesson. And the first thing I'm going to need you guys to do is take that pen out and that piece of paper. Now, I know you have it on you. I don't know where it is, but take it out right now and look at it. And then on the top of that paper, write down self-evaluation. And we're going to dig deep today. We're going to look really deep. And I want to ask you a question. Where in your life have you not confronted? What areas are holding you back that you haven't taken a deep look at? Is it the fact that you're dealing with an addiction? Now, be honest, be real with yourself. I know this is common among many, but we don't want to admit it. A lot of the time we can't admit it because we're actually suffering from it currently. I dealt with an addiction for a long time, a pornography addiction. And I say that the addiction stemmed from turning into a coping mechanism, right? So it wasn't necessarily that I was addicted to pornography, so to speak, because I'm a freaking crazy horn dog. Well, I used to be, kind of. But what I'm saying is sometimes in replace of emotions, maybe love, maybe that connection that you wanted with a girl or with parents, whatever, sometimes when there's a void of a certain connection, you replace that connection with a coping mechanism. So for instance, maybe a girl grew up and her parents weren't around for her, or her dad wasn't there in the house, and she kind of needs that fatherly figure love. So she figures it out in different ways, maybe getting attention from the wrong people. So maybe she'll do certain things to grab attention, do something to get the attention she didn't get when she was young, and she'll become addicted to that as a coping mechanism for love. And so once over time she becomes addicted to doing this, now she can't really stop, and maybe she's addicted to stripping. Maybe she's addicted, no, it's not, it's real stuff. Maybe she's addicted to prostituting herself out, or escorting services. This happens among people. Very common, and it's under the law, but it's a common thing. But people become addicted to the mechanism they've used to cope. And so I want to give deep today because I think we're dealing with deeper issues in the surface. And there's some things that you're holding on to that you know you're holding on to, but you don't want to confront. So for the first 5 minutes, you were just laughing at me. You're like, oh, Mac, you're funny. Pornography, huh? But really, dig deep, because I feel like you may be dealing with something similar. Maybe not that way, but there's something that you haven't let go of. Now, some of you guys are still like, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. There's nothing there. Really. I want you to remember when you were 5 years old, 4 years old, 6 years old, what really made you tick? What were you really seeking when you were that age? Was it love from a companion, or love from an older person, maybe like a fatherly figure or a motherly figure? What was it? What was your environment like? Were your parents there? Were they not there? Was there a parent there but dealing with an addiction? Was there something kind of missing in that situation? Because sometimes there's somebody who's not in the home, and maybe somebody is, but if they're there, they're not always 100%. This is common too. And what that does is that makes you feel like you always tried to seek love, but you didn't get it, and you think there's something wrong with you. Then you start to move out in life thinking that you have to be worthy of love, which is a very sad thing, because you're already worthy of love. If you know what I believe and what I know, it's called grace. And grace is the love that you get when you did nothing to deserve it. I've experienced so much grace that I can give it now. But for a long time, I didn't know grace. I didn't know what that was. I thought I had to do more to be worthy of love. And you don't. So this is really the deep root of it. But this is why I'm getting into self-evaluating. Because there's a lot of things we can't confront. And the reason we don't confront them is because it's painful. It hurts. But even now, I know you're watching, and I know you're discovering some of those inner qualities and those inner setbacks and turmoils or whatever. But I want you to write them down on your paper. You don't have to show anyone, but write them down right now. Write those things down. Write them down. Because when you write them down, you're getting them out. You're getting them out of yourself. You're putting it into the third party, which is allowing you to be free. It's a freeing experience. So just write them out. Get them out there. I know some of you guys really don't want to do it, because if you write it down, it turns real. It becomes real to you. That thing that you didn't want to admit, that thing that was really there but you didn't want to confront, now is becoming real. And this might bring tears to your eyes. This may really hurt you, or it might be very relieving. You might have tears of joy, tears of pain, but it's going to be a relieving experience, but it's going to be the cleansing experience in order to really grow. So I need you guys to do this. I need you guys to sit down, take as long as you need, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, pause the video, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Hey guys, so I hope you guys were able to figure out what exactly you're struggling in, what areas that you wanted to get out on paper. If you're wiping off your tears, that's okay, that's good. If you want, get a tissue before you continue the lesson. I know it gets deep. Sometimes we gotta confront it, and sometimes confronting your inner being can be a challenge. A lot of the time we've been hiding for years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50, 60, 70. Some of us are 80 years old and we still got grudges that we haven't confronted. And what they've done is they've piled up. We've built a pain, we've built an anger. I see this in family even today. My cousin doesn't talk to his dad. And so there's a discord in the family. So it's like, we got to have a family reunion, but so-and-so can't come. They can't sit at the same table, blah, blah, blah. What this does is this builds bigger discord. So that's why I don't really like, personally, I don't get why my family kind of supports the discord, because it only accumulates it. What you got to do is confront it. And so this discord actually builds a bigger discord within the family itself. See, like a family unit, dude, when one group is discorded, the whole family is discorded. See, the family itself is a unit where it's like a stem, like a tree, right? There's one seed in that family, and I believe that seed is God. And if we all are disconnected from God, we're also disconnected from the source of our family's strength. So that's why when I build a family, I want my family to be built on the essence of the God, of the Lord. Because when they build it on the essence of God, they're building it connected. So no matter where I am, no matter where my daughter is, where my son would be, where my wife would be, we'd all still be connected to the source of our strength, which will connect us all innately together, because He's the center of it. See, that's my logic when it comes to family building, but that's also my logic when it comes to business building, when it comes to enhancing my own development, is putting Him first. It says in the Bible, seek the Lord and His righteousness, and all things will be added unto you. I sincerely and devoutly believe that, because honestly, I'm a testimony of it. Every day I experience grace in numerous amazing ways, because I know if I put Him first, He always adds to the fire. And the fire for me is a good thing. Like, He adds to the movement of my life. He adds to my burning sensation to grow and to do and to give and to provide and to be a provider, to be a giver, to be an innovator. But all of this that you see from me comes from Him, comes from the source of my strength. You gotta understand, it takes, days, hours, minutes, nights, on my knees in deep prayer, seeking His face. And that's what gives me personal strength. Now, some of you guys may not understand this, Christianity and all that greatness. That's okay. Just as long as you keep an eye and an ear and a mind open, you're in a good space. See, I used to practice Islam, but when I was practicing Islam, I still had a mind open to another belief. I still had my mind open to understanding other beliefs and faiths. And when I had an open mind, God was able to use that openness to do what only He could do. It's called grace. Something that I never knew until I was 21 years old. That's when I experienced grace. And it was the grace of God coming into my life through others, through the love of others, through the insight of others. Then I realized grace has been shown on my life all throughout it. I just never really realized it. What I want you guys to do today is become aware of the good and the bad. Now, I really want to get into emotions. Now, how we feel about situations and things that happen to us. For me personally, I believe in Christianity. I believe when God, Christ came down, took the blood on the cross, He took away pain from us. He took away regret from us. He took away sorrow from us. He took away fear from us. He took away offense from us. I cannot get offended by the uneducation of another person. That means when someone does wrong by me, I can't hold offense, because all offense was taken on the cross. I have to understand that some people are just in a bad state. Sometimes people are in a bad situation. When Moses came to free the slaves in Egypt, they hated him. They didn't want him to be there. They said, go away, get out of here. They didn't want Moses to free them. It says in the Bible, their situations were so hard They were so bitter because of the pain. It was the strain of life, the stress, the hardship. It wasn't the fact that they hated him, it was the fact that they hated where they were. And because they hated their situation, they hated anyone who wanted to interfere with it. I need to tell you, sometimes you guys are burdened. Sometimes there's a lot of strain that's still on you. Situations that you have no control over. You watch the TV, it's negative. You watch the other show, it's painful. You go to your job, it's hard too. And you're burdens upon burdens, pains upon pains. And it's like you're walking with a weight on your shoulder, a weight on your back daily. And you want to release that pain. For me, when I gave my life to God, all the pain was released. God, He took it all from me. He took all the pain. You probably don't believe it, but I need to tell you, it's the truth. He took all of that. I haven't experienced it. That's why I float around the world like a bird. And my last name is Bird, so it would make sense. But I want to get into confronting these emotions. Just like we were able to confront deep down, we need to confront how we react, how we feel. A lot of us aren't thinking about, how am I feeling right now? When you're watching that TV show, you're not thinking, how is this making me feel? When I'm watching the news, how is this making me feel? One thing I had to do when I was a lot younger, maybe in high school, I started to realize when I watched the TV, it became really stressful. I became angrier. So I realized I can't watch TV no more. So when I was about high school, I just stopped it. College, I just didn't do it no more because I knew that if I kept gluing in, it was going to make my stress levels blow. And I don't want to die young from a heart attack. So I stopped because I know what's going to happen. And every time I do watch it, I watch it with great discernment, being aware of how I'm feeling and my situation. Not to let it get to me too much, because some things really do. For instance, if I see a child getting beat by an unarmed child, an innocent baby, getting whooped, killed, or shot by someone that calls himself the law, it makes me very angry. My blood boils. I want to go outside and kill someone who looks like a cop. Thank God I don't do it, because I wouldn't be here today. But that's what happens to me when I see that. I get very, very boily. Makes me want to do some crazy stuff. So that's why God gives me great discernment, and He makes sure I don't glue into it, because He knows me, and He knows what I can do. But see, that's just me personally. But I need to get into some more topics. Confronting that emotion, confronting it. Like when I was talking to you just then, I had to confront some of the anger. I had to confront some of that. When you're watching me, you're like, man, Mac's kind of angry right there. Well, yeah, sometimes I do. But if I can't confront that anger, if I don't know it exists, then I won't be able to own it. I won't be able to take charge of it. I'll be reacting to it for the rest of my life. What you guys need to do is figure out a way to own your anger, own your sadness, own your pain. A lot of the time we want to own the good things, the good feelings, but we can't own the bad. When you can own the good and the bad, then you can grow. It's called circumstance and flux. Now, circumstances change, but the way we react to them will always be different. So if you lost your house, you lost your car, somebody in your household was killed, you're going to be very sad. That's going to hurt you. Now, that circumstance you had no control over. Remember this. You had no control over. Well, maybe when you lost your car it's because you didn't pay the bill, or maybe you lost your house because you didn't pay the bill. But in the other circumstance, the latter one, with someone getting killed, you had no control over that. You had no control over someone's death. You can't control that, but you can control how you feel toward it. And I'm not saying you don't show emotion. I'm just saying you want to be aware of how you're feeling. In the mourning process, how are you mourning to it? How are we mourning? Are we aware of the fact that we're mourning? Or do we think that this is going to be a state in which we will forever be in? Sometimes I want to let you guys know that yes, we're going to mourn, yes, we're going to pain, but we will get through it. We will progress. We will continue to grow. We will continue to prosper. We'll continue to be all that God has allowed us to be, and even what that person may have wanted us to be. So yes, mourn, yes, pain, yes, be in it. Understand that's not the rest of your life. Understand there will be a time where you continue to grow. There will be a time when you continue to prosper. You may always be in the mourning state for the rest of your life. But even in that state, grow. Even in that state, keep pushing through another day. Keep making it through. I know it's rough. I know it's a challenge, but keep going. Every day you breathe has a purpose to it. Every day. Every day there's a meaning for the life and the air and the breath and the words that you speak. Because there's someone else that hasn't heard your voice and needs to hear it. Because you have something to bring to their progression, to their life, to their situation. They may be dealing with what you're dealing with too. So the best way we can begin to own emotion is by acknowledging it. Acknowledging how you're feeling. Be aware of it. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it painful? Is it glad? Is it joyous? Is it stressful? Acknowledge it. Look at it. If you have a hard time doing it, just sit down in a chair and ask yourself, how am I feeling? And then write it down. This is the key. This is a very important key when it comes to taking ownership. See, people look to you as a leader. And if they look to you as a leader, they want to see you confident in what you're doing. They want to see you because they know that they can trust you. They can turn to you for something. They know you're an expert. But you can't be an expert in your field if you don't own up to the areas where you're not an expert. The emotions that aren't good. Look, it's impossible for you to always be happy, and I'm not saying you always do that. I'm saying you acknowledge the pain. Instead of letting it destroy you, acknowledge it. When I go on for a workout and I run, it's hurting me daily. I'm still living from the exercises I do. But I push. I don't let the pain stop me. I acknowledge the pain and I keep going. See, I feel the pain, but I don't let the pain prevent me from going. You got to be to a point where you acknowledge your pains, acknowledge your stress, acknowledge it, but keep going anyways. You can't let stress stop you. You can't let fear stop you. You can't let pain stop you. You want to acknowledge it, feel it, know it's there, but keep going anyways. And the only way you can do that is by being consciously aware of how you're currently feeling. The present moment, the present issue, the present task in your current situation. We want to be there. We want to take it head on as men and women, powerful and strong. Okay, so look, I want you guys to stay tuned for some more. I'm going to come back to you for another little bit of clips. I'm going to be talking more about the benefits and the results of taking ownership. Hey guys, what's going on? So I'm glad you were able to do what you're able to do. Right now I'm going to be talking about some of the benefits that you will get from taking ownership. And there's a lot of benefits to being able to own up to the good and the bad. Basically, circumstance and flux. When you can do that, you can actually take a lot more ownership in some of the things you really want to grow in. Like maybe your relationships, maybe your work situation, maybe even starting a business, maybe with your children or your family. You can grow in those areas when you can take ownership of the areas you're struggling in. Like I said earlier in the lesson, that one of the problems that I was dealing with was responding to messages, being able to communicate with my family and with my friends. If I can't do that, I actually fail the relationship. And if I'm not owning up to the fact that I'm really bad at that, then I won't be able to grow in those areas. I won't be able to get better. Like I told you the other day, my mom said, look, I can't call you, I can't trust you, I can't depend on you. And that made me look at it. I had to rearrange it. Now, it's not like my mom doesn't trust me. She just said if she was hurt or injured, she wouldn't be able to call me because she knew I wouldn't pick up. That made me think, made me question a lot of things. This was actually last night where that happened. So I knew right then and there, I got to confront it, like we said in self-evaluation, had to confront it, had to soak it in, had to say, look, I need to work on this. This is painful, this is bad, I know I'm bad at this. I'm confronting it, I'm dealing with it, and I know that I'm going to get better with it. But in order for me to get better, I had to confront the fact that I was bad. I had to confront the fact that I wasn't good. A lot of us don't want to hear it. We think when people are telling us things like you're bad at this or you're bad at that, we think they're insulting us. People give me awesome advice, which I could take either way. I could take it as a bad thing or I could take it as a good thing. It's all about how I evaluate it and how I do a self-evaluation. People give me lots of comments. They said, look, you might want to do this better. You might need to do that better. And sometimes I get like, wow, you're telling me I can't do this, or you're telling me this that way. And so what I have to do is I have to go to my quiet space and I have to confront it. I have to say, look, this is an area that I really do need to work on. And whatever I'm going to do, I need to listen to so and so and see how they can help me, see how their insight is being able to benefit my progression. This isn't an easy thing to do. That's why we had a whole time for self-evaluation. If you guys want to rewind the video, you can go back to it and keep evaluating some more areas. But right now I want to talk about the benefit. You're getting a lot of benefit by being able to do this. Number one, congratulate yourself because it's not easy. But number two, I want to say you're going to see results. You're going to see an impact. You're going to see a change in yourself because that's where all the change begins. It begins right in you. So if you can change your situation, your emotion, your feeling towards circumstance, you can start to change your life. A story from Tony Robbins. He said when he was younger, he was doing really good with his seminars. He was living out in California. He had a castle. But one day he was at this Ramada Inn, traveling, doing seminars. He was at a little motel, kind of sitting there like, why am I here? He gets a call from the nanny or the maid that takes care of his house. And the nanny's sitting in the bathtub. She's looking over the California views, mountaintop, in the hot tub. And she's calling Tony. She's like, wow, I love where I'm at. I love my life. I've always dreamed to live in a castle. And Tony's like, what is going on? I'm at this Ramada Inn. And she's over there loving life as the nanny. And then in that moment, he realized, it's all about how you see it. You can really dictate how you enjoy your life or don't by acknowledging how you feel toward your current situation. See, she wasn't doing what Tony was doing, but she was enjoying where she was. And if you can't enjoy the process or enjoy your growth or enjoy what you're trying to do while you're doing it, then there's no point. There's no point of doing it. You want to figure out something that you love to do because whatever you do in life, you got to figure out a way to enjoy the process. I can't live a life where I wait till Saturday and Sunday to have fun. That's insane to me. I gotta have fun all throughout life. And so I figured out a way to do that by doing what gives me a passion, do what I'm called to do, doing what gives me a drive, that gives me motivation, that I love to do. That's how you enjoy it. That's how you really make the most out of it. You can't live your life waiting for that Saturday or waiting for that Sunday forever. Work 5 days just to live 2 days out of the week. Life is too valuable. It's too precious. My time is too precious. Other people's lives are too precious. There's too much to give, too much to empower, too much to build up between people and grow within communities. There's too much for me to waste that kind of time only living on 2 days out of the week. Before I know it, I'm going to be gone. I mean, you must be rich if you want to do 5 days out of the week just to live for 2 days. You must be planning to live for an eternity. Because I know personally I'm not. I don't know when the day will come, but it's going to come. And again, I've confronted that fact too. That's why I don't fear it. Now, who knows? Maybe I'll fear it when I'm under the hands of a bullet. Who knows? But, and hopefully that's not going to happen, but I've been able to evaluate the reality of death. Been able to evaluate the fact that I believe I know where I'm going to go after life. That I want to go to heaven, that I have eternal life in Christ. That's my belief. And so since I've been able to confront that, I can move more freely, not worried about it. Some of us have the fear of death, and the fear of death prevents us from living life because we always live it in fear. Because we have the fear of death, we try to do things where we're not taking risks, where we're not doing as much as we could. So we live a very secured or scared lifestyle where we're saving every penny, but we're not spending enough to live. And I want you guys to start living. Stop fearing and start living. Start doing, start becoming. Start inundating everything you can to be the fullest and the best version of what God wants you to become. This starts with evaluating yourself. This is some of the benefits, just a few of the benefits you'll have when you can evaluate and own up. Own up to you. So when you look in that mirror, you say, man, I love that person. man, he's going to do me some good work in this life. Man, this person I see in the mirror is going to blow the world away. But you can only do that when you've evaluated and owned up in there. So look, you're also going to gain results. I talk about results because this is important. Why would you watch this if you're not going to get results? So the first thing I'm going to need you guys to do is take that piece of paper out. Look at it right in your face. Take that pen out and glue something on it. I want you to write down results, big letters, caps, results, right on top of that paper, results, and do a little underline just like this on it. Okay, right underneath results, I want you to type down or write down where you want to see yourself. Now since you've owned up, now since you've confronted, who do you want to become? What kind of person you want to be? What do you see for yourself? Just vision it. Vision it. Take a minute to vision. Who do you see yourself bold? Do you see yourself confident? Do you see yourself being able to build great, healthy relationships? What kind of man do you see yourself? What woman do you see yourself? Write it down on the paper and vision it. Take the time. Today I want to tell you, I was out jogging. I was out in the hills in Weston, Connecticut, beautiful place. And I took the time to just sit there and really just pray. And when I was in prayer, I was really just seeing what God could do through me and the kind of man he's going to turn me into. And I was just embracing that. And I was like, wow, this is cool. I like that. I like that person who I'm going to become. I really do. So that was my moment of joy where I was able to see results. I want you guys to see results by writing it down, visioning it. And then when you can do that, I want you to really inundate yourself. Look at that. Look at where you see yourself growing, being, doing, speaking, sounding, acting. Who are you? Who are you going to be? Now since you've been able to confront some of the things, where are you going to go? You're going to have a family, you're going to have kids, you're going to have a business. How are you going to be? Are you going to be a tall guy with strength, inner confidence, boldness, be able to look people straight in the eye, shake their hand? See, when you can do this, you can do anything. But it starts with knowing that first. A lot of the time we're going to limit ourselves. We're going to say, I can't do certain things because of my current situation. Because of this and that, and I get it. Sometimes we don't get advantages. What I had to do is I had to drive 4 to 5 hours just to get up here to make these videos. I had to drive about 5 hours to do that. Because where I live in Baltimore City, I don't have a nice little setup like this down there. Matter of fact, not many homes in Baltimore City have this kind of setup where you can be in an apartment building that looks like this. It's got a nice light, to be honest, it's not like how it is. In Baltimore City, I don't have the resources next to me. I don't have the library down the street. I mean, there is one, of course, but it's not down the street. And, there's a lot of things that are missing in the community that will be necessary for its progression. A lot of things missing down there than there are up here in Norwalk, Connecticut. So you got to be creative. I don't hang out in Baltimore. I hang out in D.C. or I hang out in Philly or I hang out in New York because there's more proactive things going on. I'm not saying nothing's going on in Baltimore. I'm just saying where I'm at, there's nothing going on. So what I have to do where I'm at is I have to stay proactive. I have to do things. I have to make sure I'm physically fit. I run every single morning. Wake up at 4 o'clock, do about 5-mile jog just to keep my mind in the good state where I'm doing, where I'm proactive. Because if I see a lot of things that aren't going on or a lot of movement that's not happening, I'll become just like that. So what I have to do is I have to take action. I have to start doing things, exercise. I have to push up. I have to create. I have to think on my feet. I have to keep pushing my ideas, keep visioning, keep dreaming, and keep writing those things down because it gives me something to look forward to. Keeps me motivated to do what I need to do today. But it's very easy to look at your situation and give up. I could do that. I could look at where I'm at down there and I could say, it's no hope. There's no hope here. And sometimes I see myself doing that. Until God puts on my heart, you got to keep going, man. This should motivate you. And it actually does. The fact that there's nothing going, the fact that I don't see a lot, the fact that I'm not around it as much as I could be, actually motivates me to do more so that one day when I'm in the situation, I can produce. when I'm there, when I got the audience, when I got the feedback, when I got that space to really give, I'm going to give more than I could ever dream. So that's why I'm always prepared. 50 Cent said when he was just getting started, he had to keep himself in a good state of being so he would stay afloat while he was creating his work, while he was working on his plans, while he was coming up with the album. He knew his album was going to blow. He knew he was going to be the best dude out there. But nobody else saw it in him. So for 3 years, he had to keep himself motivated. For 3 years, he had to work out. For 3 years, he had to stay afloat. For 3 years, he had to stay around the right people. He had to push himself away from the wrong. 50 Cent gives a nice word of wisdom where he said, if you're hanging out with people for no reason that don't give you value, then you're going to be just like them. Like the people that you talk with for no reason are the people you're going to become with. So if you're hanging out with somebody that can't bring something to the table, does not benefit your life, and you're just talking to them for fun, that's where you're going to be. You need to get yourself around people that are progressing. And if you can't find it, start being progressive. And let the people that want to progress come to you. Because one thing I do know for sure is talent will float, talent will be seen, and skill and work ethic will let it be produced. The foam, the gem, the cream always floats to the top. Remember that. The cream will always float to the top. So you got to get yourself correct. You'll float there, but you have to understand you are the cream of the crop. So I want to say thank you guys for tuning in to the third lesson of leadership, taking ownership. This is going to be great for you and your proactiveness. I can't wait to keep you guys in for the next lesson. Actually, it's not a lesson, it's the next course. The next course, I'm going to be getting into self-awareness and integrity. I'm going to get into a lot of cool stuff. So I want you guys to stay tuned for the next course. Again, these are paid courses, so every dollar you put in, you're getting your money's worth. So thank you guys.